Welcome to Truth, Money, and Freedom. Today is Sunday, June 2nd, 2019. Hey gang, sorry I haven't done many videos lately. I've been really working quite a few hours lately, so I apologize for that. That's going to continue for a little while longer, but I'll get out videos where and when I can. There's a lot of news going on. There's a lot of very important news going on, and a lot of it is complicated financial and political news. But I think it's part of a much, much, much bigger story, which, that's what we do at Truth, Money, and Freedom. We try and piece this stuff together. But this story right here, Trump declares war on India, imposes new tariffs. That's not just India. He's doing it now in Mexico and Turkey, as well as China. So there is a bigger story here that I'm starting to figure out is the dollar is falling. I mean, we're losing world reserve currency status with the IMF, with all the countries of the world. And that's what this is meant to cover up. That's what it looks like. Now, without me going into an enormous amount of complicated evidence, I think we're going to start seeing that in the form of inflation. And that's what the tariffs were meant to cover up, is the fact that we do have big inflation. The Federal Reserve has lied to us for a long, long time, gang. I mean, I've said it in podcasts before. They lie. They absolutely lie, and the government lies because we as America are literally going to be shifting from a world superpower, first world status, to probably second world status. And the way you do that is you just tax the piss out of your own people. You just turn inward and you start gobbling up your people's wealth to keep your government as big as it is. I think that's probably what this is all about. Now, I'm going to be looking into it some more when I have time, but there's too many tariffs being raised all over. Trump is raising too many tariffs, and what that does is that raises taxes for us, and he knows it, and you're about to find out. Those of you who may not understand the complications with tariffs or duties, excise taxes, all that fun stuff. There's a lot of pretty words that disguise what a tax is. But it is coming, and it's coming directly to you and me. That's where these tariffs are going to show up, is in higher prices of products for us. I'm not going to read this whole story here, but I was actually going to make jokes when I originally brought this up. I was going to say, I sure wish Modi would stop calling my house and telling me there's something wrong with Windows. And I don't want to joke about this stuff anymore, because actually I can see a real big picture going on right now, and unfortunately, gang, it's starting. And that's the fall of America and the fall of the dollar. Now, this isn't a thing where we're all going to die, that sort of thing. But think about this for a second. The price of everything is about to go up. Gasoline, food, goods coming from other nations. Everything's all going up at the same time. And that money is not flowing to the other nations. It's flowing directly to the U.S. government. Think about it. Think about it, gang. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next story. Trump backs no Brexit deal and is recommending very smart Nigel Farage for negotiations. I've been covering Brexit as well as I could, and I know it doesn't interest a lot of people. It should, but it doesn't. And it looks like there's probably going to be a Brexit this year. There's a lot of people who think the Brexit already happened on March 29th of 2019, and there's a lot of very interesting circumstantial evidence to support this. The Brexit is done. They did a no-deal Brexit, but they don't want the people to know. And this is a document in between the Queen of England and the House of Lords. So this is not something the average person would be able to get direct evidence of, but I think there's a ton of indirect evidence. I won't go into it at this time because, like I said, most people don't really care about this issue. But I do, and if anyone else is really interested, let me know, and I'll come up with a better video discussing the fact that it looks like the hard Brexit already happened. And that was on March 29th, 2019. Okay, and then one more. This is talking about, and I'll go ahead and enlarge this, talking about the trade war with China and China's media propaganda campaign against the United States in the increasingly dirty trade war between two superpowers can be roughly divided into five parts. As economist Simon Rabinovich, forgive me guys, I just woke up, broke down the various phases. These could be grouped together roughly as follows. Number one, quiet optimism. Two, reassessment. Three, put the theory to rest. Four, U.S. failure is inevitable. And roughly into five parts, it looks like they've listed four for us here. I'm going to have to agree with that assessment, even though it's propaganda against the United States. And I'm gonna talk more about this. I think where these trade wars are actually currency wars, and that's something that I've been talking about, quite a bit. And China, basically, I'm not sure that they actually need to even raise tariffs, but there's a couple of very succinct statements in here that I need to find again. I did read this, by the way, and there was one that really caught my eye. Okay. When asked what the U.S. side needed to do for negotiations to continue, Wang referred to a preliminary agreement made by Chinese President Xi, I can't pronounce, Jinping or whatever, and his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump in Argentina back in December. Now this is important, guys. Listen to this. The consensus then was not to raise tariffs, but to work towards canceling them, he said. That's exactly what you should be doing. You shouldn't have tariffs. No tariffs. If you want to and by the way, tariffs is just another way of saying, quote unquote, free trade is, the working system. Disadvantaged country can have lower tariffs. The advantaged country has higher tariffs, so there's stuff being exported. Guys, it's all about taxes. Let's just put it in context here. If China were hurting and we're a second or a third world nation, which they are not, if they were, you could help their country out by literally having tariffs on your products going in from the United States and almost no tariffs on the products going out. That's exactly the deal China's had for a long, long, long time. Now, I'm not talking about, let's try and even this up by taxing everyone just as much for everything across the board. This means the consensus back in December was to actually work towards canceling tariffs. Zero tariffs on either side. That is a libertarian ideal. That's what we call equal trade. Free trade doesn't work. The word free was thrown in there for something that is anything but free. Governments benefit on trade. Now, I understand that in some cases governments need to collect some kind of duty for some things. I understand that. But by far and large, the best relationship between nations is when they have zero tariffs on both sides for many, many items, many goods that people need on both sides. And that's not something that's actually honestly appreciated anymore, even as an idea. This is currency wars. That's the reason why. This is a currency war, to see which currency ends up on top. That's all this is, gang. And we're now apparently doing this with Turkey, and we're doing it with Mexico, we're doing it with India, so, but here's the deal. The American people take the brunt of it. Trump is not doing us any favors at all. What he's doing is he's raising taxes right now. And for some reason, the media is not calling him out on it. Boy, I'll tell you, when conservatives raise taxes, the media should be all over that Republican. They should be all over them because that's exactly the opposite of their platform. Guys, I'm starting to think Trump is not what he seems to be or what he said he is or what he appeared to be while he was campaigning. I want you guys to think about this. He is raising taxes in a very, very big way. And in fact, in a way that, like for instance, the last middle class tax cut ended up having the middle class paying 17% more. This is, and I can find these stories online, and it's certainly true with me as well. Guys, we're hitting the end stages here of the American empire dying as the U.S. government turns inwards and literally to leech off its people to try to keep the government alive because they're not going to be able to do it any other way anymore. This is what happens when empires fail. So, something to think about. I can get into more depth with it later, and we come up with some better ideas. But Conjecture and I did a video a while back about the Roman Empire and the United States Empire and the similarities of both of them, especially as they were failing. So it's like I said, if you have not seen that, please go back. That was probably about 3 weeks ago. We did that video maybe 4 weeks ago. But these are all evidences of the United States going downhill, the dollar going downhill. And I don't really know exactly what advice to give people for us going down like this, one of which is keep your options open for leaving the country. And that may sound a little extreme, but when things start getting bad here, you may not want to be here for it. All right, gang. Well, that's all I have to say right now on this. And once again, I know I have not been making very many videos lately, and that's just because my work schedule. I have got to basically keep up on the schedule here. Part of it's a construction schedule, so I can't fall behind. Okay, you guys all take care. Thanks again for listening to Truth, Money, and Freedom. You guys have a wonderful Sunday. God bless you all.